In Peru, the Supreme Court of Justice ratified a preventive detention order against former President Pedro Castillo. Local media in India reported that at least 35 people were killed and more than 85,000 displaced by floods in the south of the country. Israeli occupation forces continue to kill women and children in Gaza with impunity. More than 45 people have been brutally killed in the last 12 hours. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Peruvian Supreme Court of Justice ratified the preventive detention order against former President Pedro Castillo. According to the judicial court, Castillo's defense did not present sufficient arguments to eliminate the conviction elements found against him by public prosecutor's office. Pedro Castillo faces 18-month preventive imprisonment for the alleged crime of rebellion and conspiracy after he announced the Congress dissolution on December 7, 2022, due to the political persecution directed by this entity against him. In addition to this, there is another 36-month preventive jail order for allegedly having committed corruption offenses in abuse of his power. The government of Uruguay plans to increase water and electricity prices starting January 2024. The State Sanitary Works Administration agreed with the Presidency's Planning and Budget Office to increase the rate for drinking water supply by 5.5%, according to the agenda of Uruguayan President Luis Lacalle Pou for next year. The state agency responsible for the supply of drinking water said that this rate increase was a response to the water deficit caused by the drought, which mainly affected water quality in Montevideo. Meanwhile, the executive also has a proposal for this decision from the National Administration of Power Plants and Transmissions, which proposes to raise the rate for this vital service by 3.5%. In the United States, a shooting at a Florida mall left at least one man dead and one woman wounded. Ocala police reported that they received multiple emergency calls indicating shots fired inside the Paddock Mall. Authorities said the man was shot and killed, while the woman was transferred to the hospital with a leg wound. They also say that the suspect fled, leaving the firearm behind, and is currently being investigated to find his whereabouts. Also in the United States, a group of senators asked President Joe Biden to stop the flow of arms and munitions to Haiti through the Dominican Republic. Days later sent a letter to the U.S. President in which they expressed deep concern for the situation affecting that Caribbean country due to the state of insecurity, together with a spiral of humanitarian crisis with greater repercussions after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. The members of parliament also requested answers from Biden on whether he would commit to resuming the civil society-led process to create a transitional government in Haiti. This without giving the current Prime Minister Henry, who served as de facto president without significant electoral backing, or the Haitian Ted Kale party, a de facto veto over a new transitional government. On Sunday, local media reported that in India, at least 35 people lost their lives and more than 85,000 people were displaced by the floods in the south of the country. The figures were released by the authorities after the search and rescue operations were concluded, in which about 50,000 people were rescued from the flooded areas who are currently in shelters receiving medical attention. In turn, local government assured its efforts are now focused on restoring basic services to the Tamil Nadu region and villages in the affected state. In this sense, they also noted they are working on restoring rural connectivity in the area. Indonesia's Lewotowi Laki-Laki volcano puts the town of Wulangitang, East Flores Regency, on alert. The ash column extended between 1,000 and 1,500 meters above its peak for approximately 24 minutes, affecting adjacent communities in the area. Authorities declare a level 2 alert and urge residents to take shelter at least 2 kilometers away from the area. Services in charge are constantly monitoring the tectonic movements to ensure the safety of local residents. In Lebanon, heavy winter rains have caused flooding on highways and roads. Lebanese interim Prime Minister Najib Mikati met with representatives from various agencies to coordinate coping strategies in the face of the storm, as well as projects to contain the damage following the collapse of several buildings. Mikati praised the effort of civil defense forces in the search and rescue of people trapped in roads and tunnels flooded by overflowing rivers. The Meteorological Forecasting Department said rainfall in the eastern basin of the Mediterranean will continue throughout Sunday. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back from the south. The Israeli occupation forces continue to kill with impunity Gazati women and children. More than 45 people have been brutally murdered in the last 12 hours. The genocidal operation that the Zionist army is deploying over Gaza has reached its 79th day. The day was inaugurated with the bombing of the Jabalia refugee camp and the kidnapping of young men and women at the Rafi school. Their planes dropped white phosphorus bombs on the neighborhood of Harm, where the Zionist army is trying to advance by land without success. The preliminary balance of the day, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, puts the death toll at 20,400. It is estimated that 14,280 are women and children, and the number of wounded exceeds 54,000. There are more than 7,000 bodies under the rubble. The holiday season in Palestine is a time of bittersweet farewells as families mourn the loss of their loved ones amidst ongoing Israeli attacks. In the past hours, dozens of Palestinians have tragically lost their lives, bringing the death toll in Gaza to a staggering over 20,000 people. Our correspondent Nur Harasin has the details in the following report.
79 days of Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip, and as people around the world are actually celebrating Christmas and happy to welcome the new year. However, there is a new way for celebrating here in Gaza by goodbying your loved ones. I am inside the Shuhada Al-Aqsa Hospital, and on my left is actually the bodies of tens of Palestinians that were killed in Israeli air raids overnight, including men and women. And all of these people walking around us are actually their families and loved ones came to say the last goodbye before they actually put them in the body bags and bury them. This became as a reality, a routine here in Gaza's morning. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry and its latest statement, joint statement actually with the Palestinian Governmental Office, they said that the death toll here in Gaza over the past 11 weeks have reached 20,258 Palestinians killed, including 8,200 children and 6,200 women. These catastrophic numbers here in Gaza brings only sadness and grief to the people of Gaza, because now you can rarely talk to anyone in Gaza, any family, any person, and find that he did not lose anyone in his family. At the same time, Palestinians continue evacuating their homes from the Al Bureij refugee camp located in central Gaza, as today ends the 72 hours that the Israeli army gave them before they are forcibly displaced. Nur Harasin, teleSUR, Gaza.
In Gaza, on Saturday, facilities of the local telecommunications company were hit by Israeli shells, injuring technicians and damaging company vehicles. According to a report by Hamas, Israel has stepped up its offensive, heavily shelling several cities, hours after world powers demanded more aid be allowed into the besieged Palestinian territory.
فوحنا في أثناء العمل.
While we were working, suddenly two drone missiles were fired at us, injuring several of our employees, including the engineer. As we were descending the stairs, another two drone missiles were fired. The communication cut-off is a problem. Right now, our people in the north are unable to communicate with us, even here internally. I mean, those in Rafah cannot communicate with those in Khan Yunis, and those in Khan Yunis cannot communicate with those in Deir al-Balad. The continuous bombardment on the network and cables. Now we were working with limited resources but still functioning. Our management is trying its best to provide service to everyone, and we rely on God for support.
On Saturday, Osama Hamdan, a senior Hamas official, criticized a watered-down United Nations Security Council resolution calling for aid to enter Gaza without suspending hostilities as weak and insufficient.
The resolution issued on Friday, December 22nd by the UN Security Council, which calls for suspending the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip and monitoring it, is a weak decision and an insufficient step that does not meet the requirements of the catastrophic situation created by the Zionist terror machine in Gaza Strip.
The senior Hamas official also addressed the full U.S. administration involvement and participation in the aggression against the Palestinian people.
The U.S. administration, by its behavior, continues to confirm its full involvement and participation in the aggression against our Palestinian people. This administration worked for a period of 5 days before the issuance of the decision, ready to empty this decision of its true essence and content and to bring it out in this weak formula that allows the enemy to continue its massacres and its war of annihilation against our people.
On Sunday, the Organization for the Liberation of Palestine urged the international community to exert pressure on Israel to force it to declare a permanent and total ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The Refugee Affairs Department of the OLP issued a statement on Sunday stressing the need to ensure the return of the United Nations Relief and Works Agencies for Palestinian refugees to northern Gaza. This was considered a priority by the OLP due to the urgency of providing aid to the Palestinian people suffering under deadly conditions. The Palestinian Liberation Organization also called on the international community to increase the volume of funding for the UN agency in order to improve and expand its services, aid, and humanitarian assistance to the Palestinian people. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. 5 people were wounded in Russia on Saturday after an attack by the armed forces of Ukraine in the Belgorod province. Local authorities reported that the incident took place on a bridge in the Graivoronsky district while road workers were carrying out repairs in the area. They also said that the 5 injured have received medical attention and that their health is moderate and that they are all being evaluated at the moment. According to the authorities, the Ukrainian army used a kamikaze drone to attack the bridge in the Belgorod province. In France, about 300 Indian citizens heading to Central America were sequestered in a French airport for a third day Saturday because of an investigation into suspected human trafficking. According to a lawyer for the small Romanian-based airline, the 15 crew members of the Legend Airlines charter flight en route from the United Arab Emirates to Nicaragua were questioned and released and were deeply shaken by what happened. The Paris prosecutor's office said the flight stopped Thursday in the Vatry airport in Champagne Country for refueling and was grounded by French police based on an anonymous tip that it could be carrying victims of human trafficking. Passengers spent 2 nights in the airport on camp beds while the investigation continues. The U.S. government has designated Nicaragua as one of several countries deemed as failing to meet minimum standards. The Chinese government underlined the strategic and mutually beneficial cooperation with Latin American Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin reiterated the Asian giant's respect for Latin American countries as well as its support for the right of these nations to freely choose their development path. According to Wang, in spite of the distance, China shares close ties and a common future with the region in a new era of equality, mutual benefit, openness, and innovation. In this sense, the spokesman advocated for enhancing joint cooperation and rejected that Latin America is seen as a battlefield where global forces fight each other.
China always believes that Latin America is not an arena where various forces fight against each other. We will continue to respect the independent choices of Latin American countries of pursuing a development path that suits their own national conditions, support Latin American countries in seeking strength through unity and addressing their problems in their own ways. China is willing to work with Latin America to deepen China-Latin America relations based on equality, mutual benefit, innovation, and openness in the new era which benefit the peoples and to advance the construction of a community with a shared future between China and Latin America to new heights.
In the Ivory Coast, Ivorian French banker Tidjane Thiam was elected leader of the main opposition sector, the Ivorian Democratic Party, a victory that puts him in position to run in the next presidential election in 2025. According to the official result, Thiam, former head of the banking giant Credit Suisse, won by a comfortable margin with 96.5% of the vote against 3.2% for his rival Jean-Marc Jayes, mayor of a community in the economic center of Abidjan. Thiam was the favorite and had the support of a large majority of the party's legislators. With these elections, the Democratic Party hopes to rejuvenate its image after the death of its former leader, Henry Konan Bedi, in early August at the age of 89. Ivorian presidential elections are scheduled for October 2025. The WHO warned of an increase in the number of dengue cases in the Americas as well as in half of the global population. The World Health Organization reported over 5 million dengue infections and 5,000 deaths worldwide, almost 80% in the Americas, followed by Southeast Asia and the Western Pacific. Likewise, more than 4.2 million new cases of dengue fever were reported, including over 6,700 severe cases and 250 deaths, a figure that surpasses the record registered in 2019. The head of the arbovirus team highlighted the war in outbreak, in conflict, and fragile countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sudan, Somalia, and Yemen, which are poor nations in health infrastructure. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.